Hi there. So today we've got something quite interesting. Now, I don't exactly know the origin of these. No, they're from the mid to early 1900s. They're brass handled African knives, and I'll say they're highly inspired by the Islamic Jambiya or like the Omani khanjar, that type of dagger. Now, I haven't really seen any daggers like this. They're double-edged daggers and some quite nice decorated worked sheaths there that are very well fit, actually very snugly fit. They do all have belt loops on them, so they are, I would say, personal defense daggers. Very thrust centric, double edged, really good geometry on them actually. And I've tested the steel for spring temper. It does. It seems well heat treated. Seems pretty hard. Quite decent. I first thought that they were like sandwiched wrapped between this brass handle here, but if you take a look, they're all actually peened. Very strange handle shapes. See, the steel tang does go through the handles on all of them. They are all peened, and they're all similar. I would say they were made by the same tribal smith or same group of tribal smiths. They all seem to have the same pattern. They're quite individualized, like they have different amounts of bands of brass around here on the handle. They're not all identical, but they are all, you could say, the same model. They are all the same type of dagger. I do like the sheaths. The sheath's very hard leather. It's a hard treated leather. It's a very snug fit as well. These are not going anywhere. And they all do have these belt loops, so they were all meant to be carried. I would say these are not working knives, more of a self-defense dagger, and I say they're highly inspired. If you go and have a look at the Omani khanjar, Arabian daggers, Middle Eastern daggers, very similar blade shape to the Jambiya. Very thin. It's got like slightly hollowed out, concaved cavity, fuller running in there. Not very deep, it's quite shallow, and then it transitions to a ridge up here. There's very wicked points on them. They're surprisingly long for how small they look. The handle is deceptively small, but they've got like 5.5-inch blades on them. They're similar in size to a 4max Scout. Let me just grab one out. Oh yeah, I'll put a good lanyard on this one, proper lanyard. But yeah, they're about 24-25 centimeters in length, as you can see. Much smaller handle, but the blade length is a lot longer. The 4max got a 4-inch blade. And get a good comparison there. Up this way. So yeah, they're about the length of the 4max, roughly, about 24 centimeters. Now I picked these up because they're unusual. I've seen a lot of African tribal knives, none of them quite like this though. That's why I grabbed them up in a lot. This was a single lot, all from the same antique dealer. Very strange handles. I've seen a lot of knives from, say, East Africa, Northeast Africa, and the Middle East with blade shapes like this, but I've never quite seen this handle construction before, so I thought they were interesting. These could easily be, some of them are quite sharp, like this one. It's probably the sharpest out of the bunch, but they can be touched up easily. There is no secondary bevel. Flat ground all the way to the edge. Very thin geometry. Some of them look more used than others on the blade. as you can see here. Very deeply patinaed. No pitting really on any of them. Very nice. They're quite light knives for all metal construction. And this one is the most patinaed. Quite a stained blade. Ouch. Very, very sharp at the tip. Now I would suggest or guess that these are worn similar in the Islamic world to how the Jambiya is. They would obviously be worn by males as a sheath knife for personal protection. I'm guessing they could have been used for day-to-day cutting tasks, but the blade shape clearly indicates that this was a weapon and not a tool. Not a utility tool. I know some people might say weapons are a type of tool. That's true, but I'm talking about utility tools. A utility tool is not a piece of arm. It's not a piece of armament. Very particular blade style that you will find all along the Middle East. I would personally say these are East African, Northeast African in origin, and they do follow a tradition of the Jambiya, Islamic. So it's probably from an Islamic African country. Could even be somewhere like Somalia. I am not sure. As I said before, I've never seen blades exactly like this. Sheaths are very hard. Is hardened leather, possibly boiled or treated with some sort of lacquer, I don't know. They've definitely been left to dry and harden. They haven't been softened. Very hard and rigid. You can't bend these. Well, you can in the middle a little bit, but as it gets to the end, they're very rigid and hard. Snug fit as well. Even the way that the tangs are put into these brass handles, there's no gaps anywhere. These are very, very solid. It does return to true, so there is spring temper. Pardon me. I've got a bit of hiccups. Seem to be quite well heat treated carbon steel. Interesting little lot. Very interesting. If anybody knows exactly the origin of these, please do let me know down in the comment section below. As I said, my guesses are estimating they are East African, maybe Northeast African in origin, from an Islamic based nation, which is taken the tradition from, you know, how they wear the khanjar in Oman, they wear the Jambiya in Yemen, in parts of old Arabia. They will wear the curved daggers, the males, and they will be used as a sign that you're willing to defend yourself. So, self-protection dagger, personal protection. Some of them were used as status symbols. I would say these are not. These are more working ones. These are not really status symbols. They're not embossed with any jewels. They're very plain. I guess there is some decorative aspects and elements to them, but these are not as lavish and embellished as a lot of the, especially like the Omani 7-ring royal khanjar with the 7 rings made of silver and filigree. Get some very ornate ones made out of rhino horn handles with precious stones in them. This isn't that kind of thing. I would say they look like they're knocked out by a local tribal smith and probably sold to the males of the tribe. Maybe lower end type. Even though they're not shoddy. They're good workmanship, good craftsmanship. And if you take a look at the sheaths there, this central ridge running up the line, you do find this on a lot of African sheaths, but that is how the khanjar, the Jambiya, looks. A lot of them are plain, but some of them do have a piped ridge going along the centre of the plane of the blade. You will have that, so it does resemble that. Where this fuller would be, if you look at an Omani khanjar or certain types of broad Jambiya, you can get thin Jambiya which are just flat geometry, but you get the broader ones which are very wide